Your story on how you overcome adversity will be somebody else's survival guide. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, good evening. Who among you here has not heard the story of Little Red Riding Hood? Anyone? Well, I sincerely hope that all of you are familiar with the story. Little Red Riding Hood is a classic. In this fable, there were two main characters, a girl named Little Red Riding Hood and the big bad wolf. In the story, Little Red Riding Hood wanted to visit her grandmother, who lives just behind the woods. Armed with her pure intentions of visiting and bringing baked goodies to her grandmother, she set out to the woods, alone and in all her naivety. It never occurred to her that there could be possible dangers along the way. She only had happy thoughts of her upcoming reunion with her grandmother. Carefree, naive, and with pure intentions, she is indeed a child. That was Little Red Riding Hood. Then enters the wolf. The wolf saw this red cloaked girl traveling alone towards the thick of the woods. He had all intentions of eating her all up. Well, since in the story he had already consumed grandmother, and the little red cloaked girl comes at an opportune time to be his next victim. Greedy, hungry, and always anticipating his next victim. That was the wolf. Well, we all know the rest of the story. The wolf was fortunately killed by a passing woodcutter, the aggravator's stomach was slit, and out came grandmother, who he had eaten first. And by a lucky turn of events, there were no casualties in the story. And as in any fable, there has to be a moral lesson. And the lesson is, children should not talk to strangers. Let's snap back to reality. I've got questions. Reality check. Is it only children who must not talk to strangers? Are strangers the only figurative representation of wolves? In reality, how do we picture wolves out there? How many can they be? How many Little Red Riding Hoods are out there with the purest and most untainted intentions? And how many Little Red Riding Hoods out there forever changed, or worse, damaged by the trauma experienced in the hands of wolves? What about the judgment of the society? If the Little Red Riding Hood story were to happen today, will the public be sympathetic to the Red Cloaked Girl? To those who were never faced with the same threat as that of the Red Cloaked Girl, won't they say, "She had it coming. Why did she go alone anyway?" Or, "Why did she even talk to that wolf?" These, my friends, are all parts of the trauma in having to face the dangers in the hands of wolves. Now, for trauma to lessen, the burden has to be shared. It has to be taken out of your system. It has to be taken out of your consciousness. It will be difficult at first, but you have to do it. A word at a time, a sentence perhaps. Do it. Only then will you be able to take it out of your system. Only then will you be able to speak about it without having emotional or without having emotions. Only then will you be able to realize that time has finally healed you. The person who helps you achieve This healing is a coach of sorts. He can and will help you achieve this specific goal. After all, our red cloaked girl, I am sure, emerged victorious from her traumatic experience. She then goes out of her way to speak of her experience and how she overcame it. She provides warning to girls out there to prevent them from being victims of the different breeds of wolves in our society. She becomes an inspiration. She gives advices like go out in the world with pure intentions, but be smart. She then takes a goal of becoming a life lesson to every single girls out there. The person who helps this red cloaked girl achieve a lifetime goal is a mentor. He thus will then be directly involved in providing assistance and support to the red cloaked girl in achieving a more defined purpose and goal. And at the end of the day, her story on how she overcame adversity will then be somebody else's survival guide. And the red cloaked girl might have been just me. Pleasant evening to everyone, and back to you, Mr. TMOD.